Google defines harassment as aggressive pressure or intimidation. When we talk of harassment, we think of someone in position of privilege abusing someone with less power than them. That can mean sexual harassment in a workplace, from a boss to a lower employee, a white person harassing a person of color, a straight person harassing any transgender. Cyber harassment is a form of bullying using electronic means. It has become increasingly common, especially among teenagers, as the digital sphere has expanded and technology has advanced. In online harassment, there is no privilege dynamic, but still it includes people commenting mean about a person's look, to long rape and death threats through online communication. Cyber harassment comprises of abusive and threatening messages sent to a person or a group. This can severely affect a person's mental well-being. Cyber harassment allows the offender to mask his or her identity behind a computer. This anonymity makes it easier for the offender to strike blows against a victim, without having to see the victim's physical response. The distancing effect that technological devices have on today's youth often leads them to say and do crueler things compared to what is typical in traditional face-to-face bullying situation. Cyber harassment is done by people who do not have ethics and do not follow their values, which is a thing that a grown person with management ethics would never do. So we chose this topic to discuss and related the ethics part to personal management and grooming. Some acts of cyber harassment may not be considered slanderous but also lead to serious consequences. In 2010, Rutgers University student Tyler Clementi jumped to his death a few days after his roommate used a webcam to observe and tweet about Tyler's sexual encounter with another man. Jane Clementi, Tyler's mother, stated, "In this digital world, we need to teach our youngsters that their actions have consequences, that their words have real power to hurt or to help. They must be encouraged to choose to build people up and not to tear them down." Social media has brought a rise in issues such as ethical business practice and bullying. Online platforms give bullying a new dimension, not limiting the harassment to school grounds, workplaces, or the outside world. Laws and programs are in fact to stop the harassment, but more needs to be done in educating our children on how to use the internet, to teach them to block, delete, or report the person who's targeting you, to educate them that there are helplines to help people facing cyberbullying and harassment, as it is unethical, so legal actions are taken against severe cases. Education in this manner will be able to prevent further destructive trends. Cyberbullying makes young people more than twice as likely to self-harm or attempt suicide. A major new study has shown the growth of social media has left many youngsters vulnerable to online bullying, which can include sending threatening, humiliating, or intimidating messages or posting hurtful comments or images. Around one-third of the young people claim to have been victims, but the new research suggests that it can have damaging and deadly consequences. Researchers at the universities of Oxford, Swansea, and Birmingham reviewed previous studies on cyberbullying, which involved more than 150,000 under 25s across 30 countries over a 21-year period. They found that cyberbullying raised the risk of self-harm and suicidal behavior 2.3 times. Professor Anne John of Swansea University Medical School, who led the study, said prevention of cyber harassment should be included in school anti-bullying policies alongside broader concepts such as digital citizenship, online peer support for victims, how to control electronic bystander might appropriately intervene, and more specific interventions such as how to contact mobile phone companies and internet service providers to block, educate, or identify users. Suicide prevention and interventions is essential within any comprehensive anti-bullying program, and should incorporate a whole school approach to include awareness raising and training for staff and pupils. The researcher says that the young people who are involved in cyberbullying should be screened for common mental disorder and self-harm. The study also found a strong link between a cyber victim and being a perpetrator. The duality was found to particularly put males at higher risk of depression and suicidal behavior. About 37% of young people between the age of 12 and 17 have been bullied online. 30% have had it happen more than once. 90% of the teens in the US are online, and the vast majority access the internet on their mobile devices, making it the most common medium for cyberbullying. 23% of the students reported that they have said something mean or cruel to another person online. 27% of them have experienced the same from someone else. Girls are more likely than boys to be both victim and perpetrator of cyberbullying. 15% of the teen girls have been the target of at least 4 different kinds of abusive online behavior, compared with the 6% of boys. About half of the LGBTQ+ students experience online harassment, a rate higher than the average. Instagram is a social media site where most young people report experiencing bullying, with 42% of those surveyed experience harassment on the platform. Young people who experience cyberbullying are at great risk than those who don't for both self-harm and suicidal behavior. 83% of young people believe social media companies should be doing more to tackle cyberbullying on their platform. 60% of young people have witnessed online bullying, most do not intervene. Only 1 out of 10 teen victims will inform a parent or trusted adult of their abuse. 4 out of 5 students, 81%, say they would be more likely to intervene in instances of cyberbullying if they could do it anonymously. Perpetrators were also around 20% more likely to have self-harmed or attempted suicide than non-bullies. The researcher also found that the students who were cyber-victimized were less likely to report and seek help than those victimized by more traditional means. The following graph shows the demographic of lifetime cyber harassment victimization rate, which was compiled from 11 different studies of surveys from 2007 to 2019, and the average of which was 27.8%. What are some of the emotional and psychological consequences for victims of cyber harassment? How could these be potentially life-threatening?
वो आपकी साइबर हरासमेंट से आपको स्केप नहीं मिलेगी घर पे भी ना, ठीक है। तो हम ज़रा अगर थोड़ा सा डिटेल में जाए ना, तो जिन बच्चे या जिन टीनेजर्स वगैरह को ना, जिनको ये मामला हुआ है ना, हरासमेंट वगैरह हुए ना, तो उनमें हमेशा लो वेलबींग होती है उन बच्चों की ना, लो वेलबींग होती है वो। और ये साइबर बुलिंग जो है ये या साइबर हरासमेंट डायरेक्टली उनको मेंटल जो इल हेल्थ है ना, उनको उसको इफ़ेक्ट कर रही होती है, डायरेक्टली उनको उसको इफ़ेक्ट कर रही होती है। और ऑब्वियस बात है, जब आपकी मेंटल हेल्थ इफ़ेक्ट होती है तो उससे क्या क्या चीज़ें इफ़ेक्ट होती है आपको खुद अंदाज़ा होगा कि इवन आपकी एजुकेशन, आपकी कंफर्ट वगैरह, आपको नींद नहीं आ रही होती, आप गलत सोच रहे होते हैं ना। इनको इनकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती है वो ये है कि कम से कम ये पहले तो सबसे पहले की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ये लें अपनी कि हाँ ये हमारी कोई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है। तो इट इज़ अ गुड थिंग कि यस ट्विटर और फेसबुक वगैरह ने कम से कम ये है कुछ ना कुछ किया हुआ है, थोड़ा उन्होंने ना कि इनअप्रोप्रिएट का इन्होंने कमेंट्स डाल देते हैं कि जी ये चेक कर दे कि जी जो कमेंट है।
What responsibilities do social media networks have towards cyber harassment?
जो मेजर काम है जो ये लोग कर सकते हैं कि जो ये स्टॉप साइबर बुलिंग को या साइबर हरासमेंट को स्टॉप करें, ये कि ये कम से कम ज़्यादा टाइम जो है इन्वेस्ट करें, टाइम और मनी जो इन्वेस्ट करें ताकि अपने कंज्यूमर को ज़्यादा ये असेसमेंट दें। उसमें नॉर्मली जो है फेसबुक जो है उसके तकरीबन जो है 4000 के करीब मॉडरेटर्स हैं जो कि ये काम करते हैं ना, जो कि फ्लैग मैसेजेस वगैरह होते हैं ना उसको ये देखते हैं। अब 4000 ऑब्वियस बात है, अगर आपके 2 बिलियन यूज़र्स हैं फेसबुक के तो वो 4000 उसके लिए बहुत कम है। ठीक है। तो पहले तो हमारी भी एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती है कि जी हम जो है नॉर्मली हर चीज़ को ना रिपोर्ट किया करें ना, जो कि एक कमेंट मुझे पसंद आया मैं उसकी रिपोर्ट कर रहा हूँ, नहीं, दिस इज़ नॉट द वे। अब्यूज़ कुछ अलग ऑब्वियस बात है इन चीज़ों के, साइबर बुलिंग के, साइबर हरासमेंट के, भले वो साइबर हो या फिजिकल हो, उसके इम्पैक्ट होते हैं कि वो जो है वो बंदा उसमें क्या आ जाता है, आई कांट डू इट, मैं तो कर ही नहीं सकता, आई एम नॉट वर्दी, ठीक है, मैं तो, मेरी तो औकात ही नहीं है ना, तो आई मस्ट बी परफेक्ट। अब कोई परफेक्ट नहीं हो सकता, लेकिन उसकी सोच होती है ना, ये ख्यालात उसके जहन में आते, आई मस्ट नॉट मेक अ मिस्टेक। ये एक एग्जांपल है कि वो जो है कि मुझे क्यों गलती की ना, हालांकि गलती तो इंसान है ना, इंसान तो गलती का पुतला है, तो गलती करेगा, तो ठीक है, वो कहता है ना मैं आई एम नॉट दैट गुड इनफ।
What impact does cyberbullying have on in school adolescents self-esteem and self-concept?
तो ये चीज़ें सारी उसकी ना जहन में घूमती रहती है, वो अपने आप को ना पावरलेस समझने लगता है ना, फिर आप रिजेक्शन से वो किसी से बात ही नहीं कर पाता, फिर ना कोई क्वेश्चन पूछता है ना कुछ भी नहीं करता, ठीक है, सेल्फ वर्थ उसकी आहिस्ता डिग्रेड होते ना, ठीक है, तो वो बेचारा जो है वो इस हद तक पहुंच जाता है। तो सबसे बड़ी वजह जो इसकी है ना, जो क्यों करते हैं लोग ना, ये बेसिकली रीजंस हैं, लोग ना रिवेंज लेना चाहते हैं दूसरों से ना, उस वजह से साइबर हरासमेंट करते हैं। जो उनके पास पावर होती है या वो पावर हासिल करना चाहते हैं तब करते हैं, इंटरटेनमेंट के लिए करते हैं, दूसरे को हर्ट करना, फनी थिंग्स के लिए एंटरटेन करना, लोगों को अच्छा लगता है कि यार मैं किसी को साइबर हरास करूँगा तो दूसरों को अच्छा लगेगा ना, उसको अच्छा लग रहा है तो उसको अंदर से सेटिस्फेक्शन मिल रही होती है ना, इस वजह से वो कर रहा होता है इंटरटेनमेंट के लिए। इग्नोरेंस, ठीक है, जाहिलियत की वजह से करता है, उसको मज़ा आ रहा होता है उस चीज़ में ना, और कभी कभी तो उसको एहसास भी नहीं हो रहा होता कि जी मैं क्यों कर रहा हूँ ये चीज़ ना, बस वो कर ही रहा होता है इग्नोरेंस की। या अनदर रीज़न फ्रस्ट्रेशन से करते हैं लोग, फ्रस्ट्रेशन की
Why do people cyber harass others?
वजह हैं बहुत सारी, और एक जो है एनोनिमिटी, कि ये देखना चाहिए आपको कि सबसे पहले कि मतलब ये आपकी फॉल्ट ना हो, ये आप कंफर्म कर ले कि आपकी फॉल्ट नहीं है, कोई बंदा आपको बुली कर रहा है या हैरेस कर रहा है ऑनलाइन, तो पहले कंफर्म कर ले कि आपकी से तो कोई गलती नहीं हुई, कोई मसला तो नहीं हुआ था कि उस वजह से वो जो है आपको हैरेस करना शुरू हो गया, आपको तंग करना शुरू हो गया नॉर्मली ना, तो पहले हमसे ही होता है नॉर्मली, तो अगर ये पहले देखा जाए। दूसरी बात ठीक है कि रिटालिएट नहीं करना चाहिए, ठीक है, रिटालिएट नहीं करना चाहिए, जो कि आपका जो सिचुएशन है उसको ना एस्केलेट नहीं करना, ठीक है, क्योंकि आप रिटालिएशन करेंगे ना तो एस्केलेट होगा, ठीक है। सबसे पहले तो उस बंदे की, लेट सपोज ऑनलाइन हो रही है, ठीक है, बंदे को ब्लॉक करें आप।
How do I respond to cyber harassment?
जो है उसको ब्लॉक कर दें, व्हाट्सएप पे है, फेसबुक पे है या फ़ोन पे है तो आप ब्लॉक कर सकते हैं उसको, ठीक है। तो सबसे पहले तो ये आपने रिटालिएट नहीं करना, रिटालिएट करेंगे तो मामला ज़्यादा बिगड़ेगा, ठीक है। दूसरी बात, एविडेंस सेव करें, अगर लेट सपोज जो भी चल भी जाता है, सर पहले हमने काफ़ी बात की, तो ओवर रिएक्शन नहीं करनी चाहिए फैमिली को, पेरेंट्स को ना, क्योंकि सॉल्यूशन जो है ना वो ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है पनिशमेंट्स और इन चीज़ों से ना, सॉल्यूशन। तो आपको पता लग गया, वो रिएक्ट ना करें, बिल्कुल सुकून से बच्चे से बात करें, फैक्ट्स लें, प्रोब करें और देखें उनके डिवाइसेस में, दूसरे तरीक़ों से अकाउंट्स में देखें, चेक करें उसकी चैट्स वगैरह, पेरेंटल कंट्रोल्स काफ़ी सारे होते हैं, नॉर्मली हम चेक कर सकते हैं, कोई इतना इशू नहीं है, तो उससे आप अंडरलाइंग प्रॉब्लम्स और इश्यूज़ जिस तरह पहले मैंने कहा वो आपको पता चल जाएंगी कि रीजंस क्या है, फ़ायदा पीर प्रेशर है या दूसरे उसको करा रहे हैं, उसको फील ही नहीं हो रहा कि मैं ये काम कर रहा हूँ, ये गलत है।
What are some strategies to reinforce messages of kindness, acceptance and inclusion at the young age?
जो मेरा असल में एडिशन का मेन मकसद ये है ना कि ओवर रिएक्शन ज़्यादा ना करें, और जो सोल्यूशन है ना उसकी तरफ जाएं, पनिशमेंट पे ना जाएं, ठीक है, पनिशमेंट पे ना जाएं, पनिशमेंट बिल्कुल आखिरी सीन है, ठीक है। तो आप सोल्यूशन पे जाए कि सोल्यूशन क्या है इस चीज़ का ना, तो बजाय उसको कि पनिश करें, आप उसको पनिश करेंगे लेकिन आप जो मेन कॉज है वो ख़त्म ही नहीं कर रहे, तो फिर तो मामला बिगड़ेगा ना, मामला ख़राब होगा, वो तो सोल्यूशन तो आए नहीं आपके पास। तो आप पहले सोल्यूशन को मामले को डिग आउट करें, रीज़न पता लगे, फिर उसका सोल्यूशन ढूंढें, ठीक है। अगर मामला हल ना हो तो फिर पनिशमेंट, ठीक है, आपके पास एक ऑप्शन। पेरेंट्स को चाहिए कि अपने बच्चे से ना बात शुरू करें इस हवाले से कि, और एक्सप्लोर करें रीजंस को उस बिहेवियर की, कि क्यों वो बच्चा ऐसा कर रहा है ना, तो उस ये कन्वर्सेशन जो स्टार्ट होगी ना, तो वो जो है बच्चा जो है अपनी फीलिंग उनको ना बताना शुरू करेगा, ठीक है। और मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स जो है या तो वो पीर प्रेशर होगा या जो है वो दूसरों की इससे बुली हो रहा होगा, हैरेस हो रहा होगा, तो वो कर रहा है, ठीक है। तो ये जो चीज़ें हैं ना, ये उस फैक्टर को, ये उस तरफ लेके जा रही हैं उस बच्चे को ना। तो ठीक है, दूसरे बच्चे को ना आप ना चाहिए, फैमिली को जो पेरेंट्स उनको चाहिए कि बच्चे को ना हमदर्दी सिखाएं, एम्पैथी, रिस्पेक्ट सिखाएं, एक कंपैशन सिखाएं, ठीक है। कि नॉर्मली जो बच्चे ना जो कि साइबर हैरेसमेंट करते हैं ना, उनको अवेयरनेस ही नहीं होती कि वो दूसरे बच्चे कैसे फील करते हैं ना, कैसे फील करते हैं। उनको चाहिए कि उसको फील कराएं कि जो दूसरों की फीलिंग कैसी है, ठीक है। और उनको मतलब उनको उसको फील कराएं बच्चे को ना, और उसको ये एहसास दिलाएं कि जी दूसरों की भी फीलिंग होती है, एवरीवन हैज़ अ फीलिंग ना, और वो फीलिंग मैटर करती हैं जिस तरह तुम्हारी।
My daughter is Rehtaeh Parsons, and Rehtaeh ended her life last April. She did this following months of cyber harassment, cyberbullying. 4 boys were all bragging about having sex with her, and that she was throwing up out a window and leaning out the window, and they were having sex with her. One of them had taken a photograph with a cell phone, and they decided to spread it, and they started texting it to everybody, and it just went through her whole school just like a firebomb. I think that's one of the things that she never actually was able to get over. I have something here, and this is the outfit that she wore home from the hospital. That's how small she was. She was pretty tiny. But I kept everything. I was keeping all this so that one day I would be able to give it to her. And I guess I have no one to give it to now. To say that what I'm facing is hard, I don't think it's even close to what Rehtaeh went through. You can remember that day like it was yesterday. The tattoo is her way to reclaim part of herself, say this is my body. Everything reminds me of her. I sat here on the couch with Rehtaeh some nights and I watched her. She'd get messages on her phone. Said, look at this guy saying that I have tattoos, I must be a whore. I'm angry that these kids went and did this to her, and not one of them has ever been held accountable for it. That makes me very angry. I'm angry that they set up a Facebook page mocking her death. Since Rehtaeh's death, I've spoken with the Prime Minister of Canada. I've spoken with our Justice Minister of Canada a number of times. I've spoken with provincial, local politicians. We're miserably failing our young girls and also our young boys. We're not teaching consent in schools. We won't say, you know, this is what respectful sexual relationship is like. This is what respect means. You can't ignore things like this anymore because people can die from them.
Research has demonstrated a number of serious consequences of cyber harassment victimization. Specific statistics on the negative effect of cyber harassment differ by country and the other demographics. Cyber harassment may take place on social media sites such as Facebook, MySpace, and Twitter. By 2008, 93% of the young people between the age of 17 and 12 were online. In fact, youth spend more time with media than any single other activity besides sleeping. 95% of social media using teens who have witnessed cruel behavior on social networking sites say they have seen others ignoring the mean behavior, and 55% have witnessed this frequently. Terms like Facebook depression have been coined specifically in regards to the result of extended social media use, with cyber harassment playing a large part in this. According to 2013 Pew Research study, 8 out of 10 teens who use social media now share more information about themselves than they have in the past. This includes their location, images, and contact information. In order to protect children, it is important that personal information such as age, birthday, school, church, phone number, etc. be kept confidential. Two studies from 2014 found that 80% of the body shaming tweets are sent by women. While they are also accounted for 50% of the misogynistic tweets, cyber harassment can take place through the use of websites belonging to certain groups to effectively request the targeting of another individual or a group. An example of this is the bullying of climate scientists and activists. Of those who reported having experienced online harassment in a Pew Research poll, 16% said that the most recent incident had occurred in an online game. A study from National Sanyat Singh University observed that children who enjoyed violent video games were significantly more likely to both experience and perpetrate cyber harassment. Cyber harassment is an intense form of psychological abuse whose victims are more than twice as likely to suffer from mental disorder compared to traditional harassment. The reluctant youth having tell an authority figure about instances of cyber harassment has led to fatal outcomes. At least 3 children between the age of 12 and 13 have committed suicide due to depression brought on by cyber harassment. A number of organizations are in coalition to provide awareness, protection, and recourse for this escalating problem. Some aim to inform and provide measures to avoid as well as effectively terminate cyber harassment. Anti-harassment charity Act Against Harassment launched the Cyberkind campaign in August 2009 to promote positive internet usage. The vast majority of teens believe online harassment is a problem that affects people their age, and only 63% says this is a major problem. But majorities of young people think key groups such as teachers, social media companies, and politicians are failing at tackling this situation. By contrast, teens have a more positive assessment of the way parents are addressing the cyber harassment. Awareness can be raised about cyber harassment. It can be reduced by having our legal authorities, forensic psychologists, and criminal investigators grip over cyber harassment issues fully with the help of their own technological improvements. Education psychologists should chase and try to solve those psychiatric problems which are behind this behavior to dim it completely. Both psychologists and legal authorities to pursue this topic with coordination as to reduce high rates of cyber crimes in society. If you think you're a target, have your PC checked by a professional. After focusing on all the elements and comparing with the literature review, this leads to conclusion that cyber harassment is related to lack of empathy, abnormal sexual behavior, and emotional behavioral. It was concluded that these problems were the significant predictor of cyber harassers. Furthermore, the gender differences were also found that women were more victimized by cyber harassment than men. Those who got high scores in cyber harassment had more high scores in abnormal sexual behavior and emotional behavior problems. To avoid the development of this issue, students of every age should be educated about it, awareness among them should be raised, ways to protect themselves from becoming a victim should be taught.